very good morning to all of you. Myself, I am Dr. Iangrai from the Department of Zoology, Synod College. So I welcome you all to this International Biodiversity Day. Now, as we all know that Meghalaya, which falls in the northeast, it is present in one of the major hotspots in the world. So therefore, we know that the Meghalaya, our state, it is very rich in biodiversity, both the flora and the fauna. So I will not take much time. So now, because we have two experts with us who will be giving us lectures on biodiversity, we have Sir N. Luikham. He is an IAF, Conservator of Forest, as well as he's a member secretary of the Meghalaya State Biodiversity Board. So welcome, sir, once again. And along with we have Sir C.A. Rahman. He is also a retired IFS from the Central Academy for State Forest Services in Burnihat, Assam. Welcome, sir. So
thank you.
So
thank you very much.
We will not. We will not waste time, sir. Welcome once again. And I just hope so that in the future we will have offline meetings so that we will be able to meet you in person, and as well as we can be able to shake hands that time. So students,
yes,
and everyone, please welcome our two resource persons. So I am handing over this time now to Sir Luikham for his lecture. Sir, you can continue.
Thank you, ma'am. It's a great pleasure and honor, rather, to be amongst you. I don't know, it's not a lecture. I will just say it's a one-to-one interaction, just to put across some message, starting from the United Nations Convention, some of the obligations, international obligations that we have as a country, as a state, as a community, as an individual. So first of all, I would like to wish all of you a very happy International Day for Biological Diversity. This is celebrated, as you are aware, 22nd of May every year. And it's a great pleasure to be among the students, as I was told, particularly those who are in their 6th semester from the Synod College. It's as ma'am has already pointed out, it would have been a greater pleasure had it been something like offline, so that we could have interacted one-to-one, handshakes and all included. But yeah, so without saying much further, just some things which I would like to share. I had requested my former colleague, I had also been working in Central Academy for State Forest Service as a faculty there, and myself, Rahman sir, who is here today. He was also very much in the team in that academy. And just to inform you that C.A. Rahman sir is a very avid personality as far as forest laws are concerned. He used to teach forest laws. And since this is also part of it, Biodiversity Act and the obligations that we are having, I thought there is no other better person than my colleague, former colleague, Shri C.A. Rahman Sahab. And he has happily obliged. I thank you for joining and helping me in this beautiful.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
Hear me, sir?
Okay. Yes.
Just 1 second. Our principal also have joined us, Dr. R.M. Lingdo.
Okay, that's nice.
Yes.
Good morning. Yeah.
Good morning, Mr. Lingdo.
Morning, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
So he is our principal, Dr. R.M. Lingdo, principal of Synod College. So welcome to this lecture that we are having today to celebrate the International Year of Biodiversity. To say words?
Okay, thank you, Miss, for giving me this opportunity. So, first of all, I would like to congratulate the 4 department of the science department to take this initiative to organize this talk, and I also thank the resource person for accepting their invitation so that they can impart their knowledge to our students. Even we are living in a very difficult time time, but at least food is on my mood. We can celebrate this International Biological Day. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Yeah, so shall I resume or?
Sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what I intend to do is I'll just run a few slides just to put things in perspective before I share some of the things which we can do, or rather it blends with the theme for this year. That is, we are part of the solution. We are part of the solution as far as biodiversity is concerned, our own existence, as they say. So I'll just quickly share my presentation, if you'll excuse me. Yeah, is this visible?
Yeah.
Sir.
Okay, so I'll just quickly run a few slides here. I was wondering what I should put, what I should not put, because many things are a little technical in the sense that it will get the students bored. But I don't know how much of justice I have done to make it as lively as possible. But let us do some number crunching, rather some figures, just to appreciate the extent of diversity, since we are talking about biological diversity. So here, in the context of India, let's start off with this. We are having a global land area of about 2.4%, and you can imagine 7 to 8% of the globally recorded species are found in India. We are talking about the recorded species. We are not talking about those which are yet to be recorded. So for the time being, just this recorded species are about 8%, around 7% of the world GDP in purchasing power parity, that is PPP terms, we have. That is 5.6% of the world GDP. And 18% of the world population is housed in this 2.4% of the global landmass. Now, that is the context. I mean, just to mention that the kind of pressure that we are exerting on the biological resources that we have, particularly in our country. So our country is very much blessed as far as the richness in biodiversity is concerned. We have over 45 species of plants recorded already, documented, we can say, 91,000 species of animals already recorded. And if you just compare this vis-a-vis of those biological resources that has been documented in Meghalaya, some literature, and particularly from the records of the ZSI, I think they have mentioned something like 5,500 animal species has been recorded in Meghalaya, and 3,000, a little over 3,000 plant species recorded. Yeah, so in terms of diversity, we have so much of diversity. If you see the landscape of the country, we see grasslands, we see wetlands, mangrove, coral reefs. We see, we have almost all types of ecosystems in the country. Now, by virtue of this, it is not surprising to see that many of the crops which are cultivated, let us say the plants that are focused for cultivation, many of it are also having its centers of origin in this landscape, in the landscape of the country. Now, as I was telling earlier, we have such a small piece of land mass, just about 2.5% of the global land mass. And we have a population, about 18%. So that works out to be like 423 persons per square kilometer. If you see the global average, it is just about 15 persons per square kilometer. I have to say about this, just to bring in context, the kind of pressure that we are exerting on the biological resources. Well, these are some of the data that we have here. All of you know, we have about roughly 22% of forest cover. Some national parks are there, 100 or 500, little over 500 wildlife sanctuaries, biosphere reserves. Then we also have about 26 recognized endemic centers. And mind you, Meghalaya is one of the states which is very rich as far as endemic plants are concerned, endemic plants and animals. Okay. So India's richness in biodiversity. You must have heard of this term, what we call as the hotspots. Biologically, very, very diverse hotspots. So we have in the country as such, it captures about 4 regions of these hotspots, and Meghalaya happens to be in the Meghalaya, along with other northeastern states. We happen to be in the Indo-Burma stretch of the hotspot, biodiversity hotspots across the globe. One of it in the globe. Okay. We also have very rich traditional knowledge associated with biological resources. So this is exemplified in, utilization in some of these medicinal systems that is recognized, like Ayurveda, Unani, and Siddha. So we are also one of the 17 mega diverse countries of the world, obviously. And Meghalaya and other northeastern states, we contribute a lot on this front. So biodiversity is seen as a resource. It is a very important resource for the, for livelihood. You can say for medical purposes. It is in some of those intangible resources as something as an intangible resource. Some of those services that we are getting, like ecological services, or they call it as also ecosystem services. Many of the rural poor, they highly depend on this biological resources, the diversity and the resource that comes out of it. Now, this CBD and IDB, these are terms like, which are linked. So this International Day of Biodiversity, it is intended, this we celebrate so that we spread the message, raise some sort of awareness, because we take it for granted, the resources that we have, because, most of the time we go and collect it free of cost. But, there is some value attached to it. There is lots of value attached to it, which is highly underestimated. So by celebrating this International Day for Biodiversity, it is just to put a message across or convey that, the importance of biodiversity that is around us. The resources are there with us as of now, but you never know. In the future, if we don't control it properly, maybe there will be a time when we will be facing lots of problems. So the importance of this biological diversity as a resource was recognized by the United Nations in one of its conventions, and they came up with this Convention on Biological Diversity. India became a signatory to this, and as per the Constitution of India, we have the Directive Principles of State Policy, which enjoins, which compels the country to respect, to implement some of the international obligations that the country is part of. So India is very much part of the Convention on Biological Diversity. We accepted it, and promptly rather, we also came out with a very suitable law called the Biodiversity Act 2002 and the corresponding rules, and we had started implementing to achieve some of these objectives. Now, biodiversity, it has to be seen from 3 angles as per this convention, and 3 objectives are clearly mentioned. The 3 objectives, as mentioned in the Convention on Biological Diversity and as reflected in our National Act, that is the Biodiversity Act of 2002, it is clearly spelled out. It says we have to conserve our biological diversity. We have to sustainably use the components of the biological diversity. So this includes not only the biological resources, but those resources which are where these things are found. So basically, we are talking about the ecosystem diversity as well, the components including the ecosystem diversity. Then fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising out of the use of all these biological resources, including the knowledge of its utilization. Knowledge of utilization of the biological resources. So I was just having a talk with my colleague, Mr. C. Rahman, and I had requested him, we were discussing what he will share, what I will share. So I had requested him to, stress a little more about how this is going to fall in place as far as this fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising out of biological resources and the knowledge associated with it. So I think Rahman Sahib is fully prepared with that. He will be sharing in as simple as possible later in the day. Well, state of Meghalaya also, after this Act 2002 came, the National Act, Biodiversity Act 2002, state of Meghalaya also had come up with its corresponding rules originating from the Act as such, and we came out in 2010. And with this purpose, this Meghalaya State Biodiversity Board was also notified, and the board was entrusted with the job of securing some of the objectives which I have just listed above, particularly these 3 objectives which I have just mentioned. So now, since I am from the board, representing the board, I thought I'll just give you just a synopsis of what we are doing and what we expect from the people. So here, it is a statutory body. It came into being in 2012. We are trying to achieve some of these objectives, the aims that has been enshrined. And we have the mandate to promote conservation of biological resources, provide guidelines for sustainable use of biological resources, regulate access and utilization of biological resources of the state for fair and equitable sharing of benefits. So basically, I will just mention a little bit here before Rahman Sahib continues. Earlier, what's happening with our biological resources? You think of any biological resource. We are not talking about only the resources that are coming from the forest. We are talking about all the biological resources irrespective of the land use. So it may be from the forest area, agricultural area, or fishing places, where we go and get these resources. Now, what was happening earlier, before this act came, the traders, the merchants, they go to the villages with some amount of money to go and purchase some of these biological resources. They just purchase it from the villagers, maybe from some hut. They make some arrangements at their own level. They collect these biological resources and pay the person, the villager there, and forget about it. Now, what do they do with these biological resources collected from our rural folks? They just give them the money and forget about it. They will go back, they will sell this to the pharmaceutical companies, they will sell this to food processing industries, they will sell this to some other companies which will process it. They generate some sort of profit, and that profit they share among themselves. It never comes back to the community. Now, this is an act with the intention that part of the profit that has been, received by the so-called companies, merchants, traders, has to be flowed back. It has to come back to the community. So here, the arrangement is such that rather it is a compulsion now, not only in Meghalaya, in all the states of in all the states of the country and many countries across the globe, that part of the profit that these traders, merchants, companies are earning should come back. It should be deposited back into the account of the community. So we have so-called at the grassroots level, we call it at the BMC level, that is the Biodiversity Management level, Biodiversity Management Committee level, which is at the village level. They will have an account what we call as the Local Biodiversity Fund. This money has to be put back. It has to come back if it is collected from that particular village. It has to come back into this particular fund. How much, in what scale? I think on this issue, I think my colleague C.R. Rahman Sahib will be touching on that later. We also advise as a board, we also get some advice from the biodiversity management committees on issues which requires such advice. So, as I was saying, this biodiversity for conserving, sustainable utilization, equitable sharing, we have a system in place in the country now. And we have 3 layers. One is at the national level. We call it the National Biodiversity Authority. Another at the state level, that is the State Biodiversity Boards, which I am representing. And this board as such is also trying to, achieve some of the objectives which have already been outlined. And obviously, it is intended that this benefit goes to the villagers, the village as such, and we have the biodiversity management committees in place at the village level. So that is at the local level. So if you see, there are 3 tiers: national level, state level, and local level. So on this, we have been functioning, we cannot function sitting here in Shillong. We have 11 districts, so we have appointed technical support groups come district nodal officers, which happens to be the DFOs. Some of the DFOs in one district, we are having 2-3 DFOs. So one of the DFO is nominated, or rather, he has been notified to be the technical TSG come DNO, that is the district nodal officer. Earlier, we have done one sort of amendment to this state biodiversity rules, that PMCs will be constituted at the village level. And as on date, we have constituted 5,697 PMCs and corresponding number of PBRs. 774 more is yet to be constituted. Actually, because of this Corona thing, COVID-19 restrictions, this is, again, it's slowing down again. Anyway, that's our administrative concern. We have also, this concept of biodiversity heritage site. So it is related to biodiversity conservation. So if you find any unique place from biodiversity point of view, we can declare that as a biodiversity heritage site. State of Meghalaya has already declared one biodiversity heritage site. This is in Umkon village in the Umling block. That was done 2018, some 3 years back. Then we cannot function as such with just a bare staff, minimum staff. So we work through, expert committees. So we have several expert committees. Then we also have this one major task of documenting, or rather documentation of a particular specific plan that is called a strategy and action plan for the state for conserving and, furthering this interest of biodiversity conservation, which is already prepared. It's going to be released. It was supposed to be released today, but because of this COVID-19, we couldn't release it because of some of these restrictions in place. Well, we have done some good works prior to me joining. Good recognition here. Meghalaya, one of our nominee, the SHG, the group from Mokerno East Khasi Hill, it won the one of the Sustainable Use of Bioresources Award, that is India Biodiversity Award in 2016. It has been recognized, something related with this living root bridges. Then we had a special mention as far as Amur falcon conservation is concerned. Elsewhere in South India, in Telangana State Agricultural University in Hyderabad. Now, I will just wind up with this slide. That is, we are part of the solution because this is the theme. But I will try to, devote more time on this, little more time rather. So let us get involved, be a part of the solution. Biodiversity as such is a very, I feel so tiny and small as far as the diversity of the state, diversity of the country is concerned. We are just trying to document a fraction of what is known so far. We still have a long way to go in documenting our biological resources. So with that, what we can do now, as of now, is that we have to reduce, reuse, recycle. I think this is a very common and very catchy phrase. Reduce, reuse, recycle. So this also equally applies to our biological resources, including other resources as well. Let us conserve and sustainably utilize the biological resources. Yes, that is understood. And let's document our biological resources. Here, I would like to mention, Biodiversity Board is coming up with a mobile app where the common public, anybody from Meghalaya, from the state of Meghalaya, interested in enriching our People's Biodiversity Register. So this is one of the legal documents that is going to be with the villagers at the village level, at the BMC level rather, Biodiversity Management Committee. So anybody who is interested in enriching our people's biodiversity registers, it is basically an inventory. It is an inventory of the biological resources that we have at the village level. So this includes both plants and animals, including some of the knowledges that we have. Like in some villages, you must have come across certain wise person who is very much acquainted, or rather who is very much knowledgeable how to utilize our plant-based material or animal-based material in treating certain ailments that afflict the villagers. So here also, like, just for example, like they say, there is one particular practice. I hope you are aware of one of the endemic species that is found in Meghalaya, pitcher plant. This pitcher plant, they say, if you have a tummy problem, stomach ache or whatever, you go to the pitcher plant, take the sap, the liquid that is inside the pitcher plant. In some villages, they practice this. They drink the liquid that is there inside the pitcher of the pitcher plant. So the science is I think yet to. This sort of practice is giving relief to the villagers. So there must be some truth. There must be some scientific basis. So we need to document. We need to document such practices. So we call it a traditional knowledge. So this traditional knowledge also has to be documented in our People's Biodiversity Register, PBR. So in order to facilitate the public and in order to enrich our document, that is the PBR, very shortly we will be launching the mobile-based app. Anybody can go to Google Play and download the app, and you can enrich our PBRs. Particularly, it is not the board's PBR, it is the village PBR. It will be one of the legal documents which the villagers can use in order to, later on when it comes to access benefit sharing, this PBR document will be a very important document. I'm telling you this, in many of the states that they have started this access benefit sharing business. And many of the states, and particularly those villages, they have started earning in terms of lakhs, crores, with some kind of arrangement under the access benefit sharing. So let us get our share. So what I mean to say is, get your share. Let us constitute BMCs. Let us have our own BMCs at the village level. Let us keep on enriching our document, that is the PBR. Once we are done with that, nobody can come and take away our resources before having an understanding, having an arrangement with the BMCs, that is at the village level. So gone will be the days people coming in trucks and just purchasing and forgetting you. They will, the people who are selling, they will sell at their own convenient rate. That's okay. It doesn't affect the day-to-day business or the day-to-day bargaining with these people. Once that is done, you go ahead, you do your business. But once you come and purchase, you will have to legalize it. If you have purchased it clandestinely, that becomes illegal now under the arrangement of this particular act. There are penalties. People can be imprisoned. People can be fined. When I say fine, I'm talking about fine going to be imposed not on the villagers. I'm talking about fine that is going to be imposed to those merchants, to those traders, to those industries, without having an agreement with the community, the village. So once they take it, okay, fine, you have paid the purchase price, you have given it to the villager. Villager goes back. We are not deserving that one. We are just telling the purchasers who are coming from outside the state, industries, companies, that once you take it back, you earn some profit, you will have to return a percentage of that profit back into our local biodiversity fund. So this is going to happen. Let us be aware. Let us get our share as well by being aware. Okay. So the next thing that I would like to just mention is, like, let us be vigilant as well. Biopiracy is a big term. People come here for bioprospecting. Companies, merchants, they will come and scout the area, find out what resources can be extracted, and then they go back. Once they have, credible, legible, feasible plan in place, then they come back in a larger scale and they start indiscriminately exploiting, instigating our poor villagers who are not aware of this. So what this act, the National Act, has given us is that it has empowered us. You can, if you are alert and if you are vigilant, you can bring this to the notice at the district level, at the board level, and we can punish them. We can punish them with imprisonment. Of course, all these things will go to court. It will be a complaint. We'll put it in the court. Courts can punish them with imprisonment and fine. This fine is not a joke. It will be something. It runs in lakhs. It runs in crores, depending upon the entity that has committed the offense. I think I have requested Rahman Sahab also. I hope he will be sharing a few words on that as well. So now, before I move, I just want to give a small slogan type thing. Let us move on from sell it and forget it to share it, or we'll say get your share as you buy or sell biological resources. It's up to you, but the board as such would like to encourage the school students to spread the awareness, school students, college students, all of us, all the stakeholders, so that our biological resources are not taken for granted. If we are selling, please be aware that we have a share. We have a share in that transaction. And this amount of money doesn't go to the state exchequer. It will come directly to the local biodiversity fund, which has nothing to do with the treasury system or the financial system of the state. Of course, audit and all comes later. I mean to say, it doesn't go to the state exchequer, and again, government says, you have contributed this much, this is your share. Nothing like that. It is purely to be done at the local level, that is at the BMC level. Thank you so much for listening to me. I don't know if I've tried if I managed to convey at least a few points here. So I just end up here. Thank you for listening to me. I wish all the students there in Synod College, Shillong, all the people in Shillong, very happy International Biodiversity Day. Thank you. Good day.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, sir.
With us, telling us the programs that the Meghalaya Biodiversity Board is doing, and telling us reaching out to the level. So thank you so much for sharing your presentation with us. So now I request Sir C.A. Rahman to please take over and please share your lecture with us.
Okay, thank you. First of all, good morning to all of you, and a very happy International Day of Biodiversity, Biological Diversity. And I express my thanks to Mr. Luikham and the school authority to take me as a resource person on this day. Thank you very much. So, as Mr. Luikham has said, I will be giving more emphasis on the access and share benefit sharing of biological resources. So, let me present my presentation. Is it visible?
Yes. To me, it's visible.
Okay. And for the others, I hope it is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's visible, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay. So, little bit about biodiversity conservation, and I will directly go into the ABS, that is access and benefit sharing mechanism under Biodiversity Act 2002. So as we all know, biodiversity, biological diversity or biodiversity means variability among living organisms. It may be within species, between species, and of ecosystem. We have three types of biological diversity: species diversity, genus diversity, and the ecosystem diversity. And as per Biological Diversity Act also, it is something, the same definition is given. The earlier definition was by the CBD. And when we talk about conservation, we always talk about that biodiversity should be conserved, or we should give more emphasis on conservation of biodiversity. We must understand what is conservation. It is a concept, or conservation, we can say that it is the management of human use of the biological resources, or maybe anything in the biosphere, which yield the greatest sustainable benefit to the present generation, and simultaneously maintaining its potential to meet the needs and aspirations of coming generation or future generation. So this is what conservation is. And conservation, the concept, it includes the following. You can see it is preservation. Sometimes we take it conservation, we presume that it is preservation. It is not exactly preservation. Preservation is one of the component within the conservation. So conservation includes preservation as well as the maintenance and sustainable utilization, and also restoring or enhancing or improving the living resources. So conservation is a broad term than the preservation. Preservation is something you put a specimen in a bottle of formalin and then it is kept. So it is preservation. But conservation, it is a wider sense. So you have preservation, maintenance, sustainable utilization of the resources, and also not only utilization but also restoring the living resources and even enhancing or improving the resources. Okay. Now, this already Mr. Luikham has already conveyed to you that the convention was signed by our country also, including others, 150 countries in Rio in 1992. CBD was signed. And the three objectives, I will not go in detail because he has already explained it. Three main objectives of CBD is one is conservation of biological diversity, the other one is sustainable use of its all components, and the third one is fair and equitable sharing of the benefits arising out of the utilization of these genetic resources. So the third objective, which I will be slightly elaborating, and keeping this in mind, our government also enacted this Biological Diversity Act in 2002. Now, some of the silent features of Biodiversity Act, before we get into that. So the first one is to regulate. One of the main feature of the Biological Diversity Act is to regulate access to biological resources with equitable share in benefit. So that is what it is, not only accessing but also with equitable share in the benefit. So as Mr. Luikham said, that if some manufacturer purchases or some traders purchase some resources, if he is having some profit out of that product or out of that resources, and if he produces something, so that benefit share should also come to the community or the protector of those resources. Then to conserve and sustainably use biological resources. And also this Biodiversity Act has given scope for setting up NBA, that is National Biodiversity Authority, State Biodiversity Authority, and Biodiversity Management Committee, that is at the village level or community level, or at the root level or grassroots level. Then in all cases, whether it is National Biodiversity Authority or State Biodiversity Board, they are required to consult BMCs, that is the committee at the village level or community level in decisions relating to bioresources or related to the knowledge within their jurisdiction. The NBA and the SBB cannot take decision without consulting BMCs. And to secure sharing of benefits with local people as conservers, as we all know that biological resources in the villages or nearby the fringe area of the forest, the villages or the communities are the conservers. If they conserve it, if they exploit it, no question about it. But if they conserve it, so the share of benefits coming out of this utilization of this bioresources should also go to this conservers. Conservers means those villages or the communities. And then this is also already told to create biodiversity fund at all level, at national level, at state level, and at local biodiversity at local level. That is by this DMCs. Okay, so this fund will be some of this part of this fund which will be coming will be utilized for improving the resources or enhancing the resources or for restoring the resources, because when you do some harvesting of the resources, there will be depletion of the resources, so that has to be improved, that has to be restored. So for that, fund will be utilized from this local biodiversity fund. And as Mr. Luikham said, very little part of the money comes from the traders or manufacturers, as the share will be going to will be routed through the NBA and SBB. But most of the fund, major part of that fund will go to the BMC's fund at the local level fund. It will not retain. It will the NBA or SSB will not retain it. Maybe a very little part as the operational charges they will retain, but not very huge amount will be retained by them. So the maximum portion of this fund will come to the local level, local fund. Then again, some of this to respect and protect knowledge of local communities and traditional knowledge. So as Luikham sir was telling that picture plants, the sap from the picture plant is taken by the villagers for some relief in some diseases and all. So that is some traditional knowledge. So that type of traditional knowledge or some knowledge of the local communities is to be respected and protected. So that is also one of the silent features of Biological Diversity Act. And again, if some area is having importance from the standpoint of view of biodiversity, very unique type of biodiversity, then it has to be declared, or it can be declared as biological diversity heritage site. So if such site is there where it is very unique biodiversity, then it can be declared as a biological diversity heritage site. Then this act also makes it mandatory for all foreign nationals and all organization, maybe it is company or any other organization, require prior approval of NBA for obtaining biological resources or obtaining associated knowledge for use. Suppose the foreign national wants to take some resources from Meghalaya or Manipur or maybe from Andaman Nicobar, so they have to take approval from NBA. Then only they can take that biological resources. And then similarly, Indian scientists or individuals require approval of NBA for transferring results of research to foreign nationals. If some Indian scientist or individual wants to do some research with the resources, bioresources of a particular site or area, fine, good, nothing, no approval is required. But if he is transferring the results of the research to a foreign country or a foreign national or a foreign organization, then definitely approval of NBA is National Biodiversity Authority's approval is required. Then similarly, protection and rehabilitation of threatened species. There may be some species which are very much threatened. Maybe if we are not giving protection, if we don't rehabilitate and give protection, it may extinct. So now some of the young friends may ask, sir, as per Darwin's theory, survival of the fittest, and we have lost dinosaurs and all. So why we are worried about this extinction of some of the species at this moment? Friends, it is not that we are, it is as per now what is happening is not as per the Darwin's theory. It is because of the anthropogenic interventions, because of some activities of the human beings or any other activities, maybe by pollution, maybe by illicit felling, or maybe by illicit type of harvesting or over exploitation of any resources, we are losing the species. It is not that which happened earlier days, like we lost dinosaurs. So why we were not worried at that time, or why we are not concerned about the losing of dinosaurs? So this is because I have been asked this question many a times when I have given this lecture. So this is very because we have made so much or we exploit the resources in such a heavy extent that it automatically get threatened, and then it is lost, or we get these species are extinct, become extinct. Then some of the institutions involving the institution of state government in the board. So as Luikham sir was telling, that we incorporate ZSI, we incorporate some of the knowledgeable persons in the institution so that they can prepare the PBRs or People's Biodiversity Register of that particular area and all. Then protect India's rich biodiversity and associated knowledge against their use by foreign individuals and organizations. In somewhere in 2010, if I remember, two scientists from Czech countries, somewhere, I don't remember, they have collected thousands of butterflies from Darjeelings. And that time, of course, this act was there, but not very much, it was not very popular. So the DFO wildlife in Darjeeling, she wanted wildlife protection in the Wildlife Protection Act. So that it was very difficult for her to book, because it was in thousands numbers, this butterflies and some moths or some beetles they were collecting. So ultimately she booked the cases under Biodiversity Act, and they were punished. Though those two foreign nationals who were collecting this, they got punishment. So this type of biopiracy and such type of thing should be protected, and Indian industry needs prior intimation to SBB to obtain bioresources. You must be aware, like Patanjali and all, if they want to take some resources from certain area or certain state, they have to take permission from State Biodiversity Board, and State Biodiversity Board will consult the BMC from which area they are going to collect. Like they have collected some amla from Assam. I was talking to the member secretary of the Biodiversity Board in Assam. So he said once he has gone without permission, and then he was called and he was warned, and then he has been fined some amount and all. Similarly, in Uttarakhand also, the case is under trial again with Patanjali. Mr. S.S. Raseli, who was member secretary earlier, just last month I was talking with him. He said he has booked a case against Patanjali because they were collecting some resources, bioresources from areas without any intimation to the SSB. Of course, the case is under trial, so I don't know what happened to that afterward. Then there is intellectual property rights. Intellectual property right, for that also prior approval is needed. Like if some invention in India or outside India on bioresources, so their permission is needed. Now we'll go to the access and benefit sharing mechanism, which is given in in Biodiversity Act. First of all, we should understand biological resources. When we say access and benefit sharing of biological resources, so we should understand what is biological resources. So biological resources means plants, animals, and microorganisms or parts thereof, their genetic material and byproducts which have an actual or potential. Maybe now it is in use, or it may have some potential use in future also. So it includes plants, animals, microorganisms, and parts, and maybe their genetic materials and byproducts which have an actual use at present, or maybe a potential use of value in future. So that is biological resources. So it can be from your homestead, it can be from the farmland, it can be from the agriculture field, it can be from forest, it can be from the water body, it can be from some wetland or whatever it is. So it can be from anywhere. As Luikham sir was telling that it is not restricted to biodiversity, is not restricted to the forest areas only. It is everywhere. So in your village itself, okay. Then of course, this biological resources, as per this Biodiversity Act, excludes value-added products. Suppose some fruits have been collected and it has been converted into some achar or some chutney or something. Then that product which has been converted will not come under biological resources. Okay. Then human or like full jadu. Full jadu, it is plenty in Meghalaya. Once it is collected and made into jhadu, then the jhadu will not be a biological resource. Before that, when it is value added, it will be a biological resource. Similarly, human genetic material is also excluded. So otherwise, what will happen if some part of me or some plasma is be donate to some other fellow, so that will also come under this. So that is any human genetic material is excluded from that term, from the definition of biological resource as per Biodiversity Act 2002. Okay. Now, knowledge associated with biological resource, this in this act, inclusion of knowledge associated with biological resource. But if we have gone one step ahead, you see, in CBD, Convention of Biodiversity, it only refers to traditional knowledge. But in our act, we have removed traditional. So it can be any knowledge, including traditional. So that has been incorporated in Biodiversity Act. So not only biological resources, but also any knowledge associated with the biological resources. Okay. Now, when we are implementing this ABS, that is access and benefit sharing of biological resources or knowledge associated with biological resource, we should know the categories of person and entities under this act. So the persons can be categorized into three. One is Indian, the other one is foreigner, and the third one is NRIs. Okay, so these are the three categories of persons. We'll be talking about this because once when we say what will be the process to these type of categories of people and all, that is why the Act has divided the persons into three categories: Indian, foreigners, and NRIs. Similarly, entities like corporations, companies, associations, organizations, again they have been categorized into three. The first one is totally foreign entity, foreign company or foreign organization or foreign association or corporate. That means it is not incorporated or registered in India. Secondly, registered in India but having some participation of its share capital or management with foreign elements. So some share or some management sharing is there with some foreign countries. So that like NRI type of thing. And then third one is registered in India. So that means it is totally pure Indian company. Now, again, for purposes, classification of this purposes, for which purpose these bioresources are taken or collected. So the first one is for commercial utilization, like making some medicine or some perfumes or whatever it is. So the resources are collected and it is converted into some perfume or some medicines or some supplement, food supplements or whatever it is. The second one is research. Maybe it is taken for some research. The material bioresources are collected for some research. And the third one is biosurvey and bioutilization. That means for making inventories and future some scope. Then comes the constitutional bodies. This already we have discussed, Luikham sir also discussed, and we have at national level, National Biodiversity Authority, the office is at Chennai. Then every state has their biodiversity board. Mr. Luikham is part of the biodiversity board of Meghalaya state. Then biodiversity management committee, that will be at the local level, at the village level or community level. Now coming to ABS mechanism, it is a legal framework because it is incorporated in the Act. And now we have another regulation in 2014 issued by Government of India, which has very clearly given the mechanism about ABS. So it is a legal sanctity. So nobody can challenge it that if you are doing some illegal thing, you are asking illegal money from traders or purchasers or something. It is a legal sanctity now. And then it is securing fair and equitable share in benefit arising out of access and utilization of biological resources for commercial purpose. For commercial purpose. So this benefits thus secured are channeled to the benefit claimers or and for the conservation of biodiversity act diversity. That means the communities who protects or conserve these resources, the benefit will be channeled to them, and also for conservation of because I was referring the fund, local fund, the money will be, certain part of that money will be utilized for improvement or restoration of the biological resources or bioresources. So acts makes it mandatory for such person to apply for prior approval from NBA. So wherever, whichever case is there, so prior approval of MBA is required. Then coming to further certain activities, namely the transfer of research result. Suppose a scientist in India, he did some research on a particular plant or some particular group of plants and some, and then there also he has to take the NBS permission. Similarly, for certain obtaining certain intellectual property right for any invention based on the research or information relating to any biological resources, so there also you have to take the permission from the NBA. Okay. Then some of the sections which actually have the provisions for this ABS. So section 3, of course, it's a long act. So only these sections refers to ABS mechanism. So section 3, section 4, section 6 and 7 and 21 of the Biological Diversity Act 2002 have provisions, regulatory provisions for ABS in the act. Okay. Now you must be aware of Nagoya Protocol. So this regulation of 2014 came in pursuance of the Nagoya Protocol and in exercise of the powers conferred in Biodiversity Act. So after Nagoya Protocol, Government of India has brought this regulation in 2014, which actually details about how this benefit will be shared, the mode of benefit sharing. Now, if some biological resource is taken for commercial utilization, means commercial purpose, we have seen commercial purpose, then intellectual property right, or for research, there are three purposes. So if some biological resource is taken for commercial utilization, then, and if the trader or the applicant has not entered into any prior benefit sharing negotiation with the persons from where or from whom they are collecting. Persons means the joint, like your village community or forest dweller or tribal cultivator or Gram Sabha at a local level from whose jurisdiction the trader is collecting these bioresources. If they have not entered into any negotiation with them, then the benefit sharing obligation on the trader shall be in the range of 1 to 3% of the purchase price of the biological resources. Now, it is very clear, if they are purchasing for 1,000 rupees, so 10 rupees should go to 10 to 30 rupees should go to the this thing. If they have not entered into any prior negotiation, it is apart from the price of the resources. Okay, and the benefit sharing obligation on the manufacturer shall be in the range of 3 to 5% of the purchase price of the biological resource. So it is not only the trader who is purchasing or who is collecting the resources from the local area, but also the manufacturer, because trader will be selling it to some manufacturer will produce some product. So the manufacturer is also having some obligation of paying 3 to 5% of the purchase price of the biological resources. And in case the trader sells the biological resource to another trader, the benefit sharing, or manufacturer, the benefit sharing on the next trader will also come 1 to 3%. So that means if there are two traders, so from two traders, the community are supposed to get to 1 to 3%. And of course, from the manufacturer, it is 3 to 5%. Then if the trader or applicant or the collector has entered into any prior benefit sharing negotiation with the community or with the villager or with the Gram Sabha, then the share benefit should not be less than 3%. The sharing obligation on the applicant shall not be less than 3% of the purchase price of the biological resource, in case if the buyer is a trader, and not less than 5% in case the buyer is a manufacturer. And in some high economic bioresources, it should not be less than 5%, like sandalwood or maybe some red sander or any resources which is very highly priced. So in that case, that should not be less than 5%. So you can imagine the amount which the community will be getting as share, because it will be in crores or lakhs the prices. So at least some good amount will come to the community. Now you can see, if the for commercial utilization, if some product is coming out of the biological resource collection of biological resources. So if annual gross ex-factory sale of product is 10 crores, up to 10 crores, then benefit sharing is, it is the sale of product, not the profit which the manufacturer is getting. So that difference is because profit will be less compared to the sale. So whatever sale is there, if it is 10 crores, 0.1%, suppose Patanjali purchases some bioresource in from some area and he prepares some hair oil or some toothpaste or something. So total amount which he received by selling the product, the toothpaste or the hair oil, so the total amount and share will be 0.1% of the total amount. So it is not the profit which Patanjali gets. It is the total amount which he received by selling the product. So the amount will be very huge. Similarly, if 10 lakhs to 30 lakhs, if the sale is there, ex-factory sale, then the benefit sharing will be 0.2%. If it is above 30 crores, then it is 0.5%. Then, as I said, intellectual property right. So there it is 0.2 to 1%. So if he himself commercializes, suppose if I collect something and I myself commercialize that bioresource, the thing, then the range will be 0.2 to 1%. Whereas if the applicant, he assigned it to a third party for commercialization, the applicant shall pay NBA 3 to 5% of the fee received and 2 to 5% of the royalty amount received. So NBA, after deducting some operational charges, that will be transferred to the Biodiversity Management Committee. But now, collection of bioresources, it has some exemption. Suppose if a local cultivator or grower, he is cultivating some bioresource, some thing, so that is exempted. He is not doing it for very commercial purpose. He may be doing it for maybe his livelihood or whatever it is. So that type of thing is exempted. So local people and communities of the area, including growers and cultivators of the biodiversity, they are exempted. So they can collect it, and suppose similarly, Vaid and Hakims, the local medical like what you call traditional medicine practitioner, if he is practicing some indigenous medicine out of the bioresources, so that is also exempted. Similarly, there are some exemption like Section 5. If a research institution in India is conducting or engaged in some project and they are having some association with foreign collaboration, or they are also having some link with some foreign agency or foreign country, that is also exempted, provided such collaborative research project has the approval of the central government and in conformity with the central government guidelines made in this regard. So if suppose one of our institute, now we have this corona medicine or vaccines under this research. So suppose one of our company is having some collaboration with a foreign country, but that has an approval of the central government, then if they collect some bioresources, that is exempted under Section 5 of the Act. Sorry, any question? Somebody is asking, or shall I continue?
You can continue, sir.
Okay. No, I thought somebody is asking some question or something.
No, we can have that after your...
Okay. Then Section 40, every state that SBB, that is State Biodiversity Board, has brought out list of certain bioresources like our brinjals or maybe our lady's finger. These are also bioresources. So if some purchaser comes and purchase it, then the communities or the local body will ask for share. It is not. So certain items or certain bioresources which are all already in practice, like your paddy or maybe any other thing, so which is already there. So because everything is as per, because brinjal is also plant, lady's finger is also plant, your tomato or whatever it is, so paddy. So those things, such things which are all in practice, which are all our food items, regular food items, the State Biodiversity Board has come out. You can go to your Biodiversity Board website or any other state website. They have the list. The lists are there. So those are exempted from this ABS. Okay. And then coming to offences and penalties under Biodiversity Act, it is very rigorous. I made it very bold, cognizable and non-bailable. So, young friends, cognizable means where the offender can be arrested without a warrant or without a order from the court. So, if anybody has committed any offense, means offense who will commit? The traders or the collectors of the biodiversity, biological resources, not the villagers. So if somebody does it without permission of NBA or without sharing the benefit and all, so it becomes cognizable offense and non-bailable. So Section 55 refers that. Cognizable means there is no need of any warrant from the court to arrest that person, or no order is required to arrest. Like in case of murder, the police need not to ask a order from the court to arrest that person. They simply come and arrest that person and take it and produce it before the court. But for some other like theft and all, they require thing. Of course, they may take him for custody and all, but for arresting him, they require order. Okay, so cognizable. So all offences under Biodiversity Act are cognizable and non-bailable. Non-bailable means initially at police level, it cannot be bailed out. He cannot be bailed out. Of course, after remand and further, if it is not extended, they will get bail. But in the initial stage, it is not bailed out. He will not be bailed out. Then similarly, any contraventions of provisions of Section 3, 4, 6, 7 and 24(2). These are the sections where the provisions of provisions for this are given, and then contraventions of those provisions under these sections are cognizable and non-bailable. So this offense under this act aim to penalize acts so that our biological resource should not be threatened, or it is not threatened. Okay. So therefore, any activities which is illegally accessing or obtaining the biological resources, unsustainably use or exploit, over exploitation, unjustly enrich the person accessing, using, suppose you are aiding that person who is accessing, helping that person, evading fair and equitable benefit sharing. Suppose, as I said, some trader is not following that fair and equitable benefit sharing, is an offense which is punishable with a considerable penalty and imprisonment. Now we'll see what is the penalty, what are the punishments. Now you have to refer to those sections. Time is short, so I cannot go in detail what are the sections and all. So violations of sections, I can share my presentation. You can keep it. Okay. 3, 4, 6 sections. If these sections are violated, the penalty is fine, which may extend to 10 lakh rupees. So up to 10 lakh rupees can be fined. and or it can be with imprisonment, which may extend up to 5 years, or only imprisonment up to 5 years. Up to 5 years means maximum is 5 years. It can be 2 years, it can be 3 years, depending upon the court and the severe nature of the severity of the offense. Similarly, for violation of Section 7 and Section 24(2), the penalty may extend to 5 lakh rupees or imprisonment, which may extend up to 3 years, or also with fine. So it can be with fine and with both can be there, or one of that may be there. Okay. Similarly, any violation of any order, for a violation of any order, suppose Meghalaya State Biodiversity Board has issued some order based on the or in pursuance of the Act. So if somebody is violating that order, then the penalty may extend up to 1 lakh rupees for the first instance, for first case. If the same person is repeating it, so then the penalty is fine, which may extend up to 2 lakhs rupees for second violation or second offense or subsequent violation. So for first time it is 1 lakh rupees, up to 1 lakh rupees. Or if he is repeating it again, if the violation he is repeating it again, then it may go up to 2 lakh rupees. Okay. And if it is continuous violation, he is not stopping at 2, second violation, he is doing it again and again, then the penalty is fine, which may extend up to 2 lakh rupees for each day of the default. So if he has continued for 3 more days, so that means for each day the court may penalize him up to 2 lakh rupees. Suppose if the court has penalized 1 lakh rupees on the third day, then the second day the court may penalize another 1 lakh rupees, another so it will keep on going. Okay. So who has to take the cognizance? So the NBA has issued order in 2009 that of course the scientists of the NBA, State Biodiversity Board, and Environment Ministry's regional offices, like you have one in Shillong also, regional office of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India, one office is there. So any officer not below the rank of scientist of National Biodiversity Authority, State Biodiversity Board, or Environment Ministry's regional office, they can take enforcement action. Okay. That was in 2008. This NBA has issued order, as per Government of Notification. Later on, it has been extended to Forest Department also. The forest officers not below the rank of range officers to file complaint. So they can also take cognizance. So not below the rank of forest rangers can take cognizance. So forest rangers and above officers can take cognizance of any offense and they can go to the court. Okay. So this is my presentation. I think I have covered within the time limit and a bit fast I have gone. But if you have any queries, feel free to ask because I am free now. Okay. You can ask. If you have any query, any doubt, anything, any wild question also may not be very much related to what I have shared. Luikham sir, theek hai na sir? It's okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. It is quite okay. So much knowledge we have gained in this discussion about
Yes.
So anyone start asking questions. If you have any questions, you can ask to both Sir Luikham and Sir Rahman.
Or my email is given there. You can mail to me. I will answer that. If someone is hesitating. Yes, somebody is asking, I think.
Yeah, students, if you have any queries, please feel free to ask.
If you have any questions, please go ahead. You can ask them.
We don't claim to know everything, but we'll try
But
to
we'll
answer.
try our level best to clarify the things.
I think they don't have any questions. So thank you so much, sir, both of you, Sir Luikham and Sir Rahman, for sharing your knowledge with us regarding these, how we should respect and protect our traditional knowledge, and especially of the local community, and especially Sir Rahman for sharing us regarding your these highlighting us about these different acts, and they are punishable and they have to pay these fines. So thank you so much, sir. So now I'm giving this time to Dr. D. Marngar for presentation of the vote of thanks.
Hello, sir. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. We have got a lot of in-depth information and resources related with the lectures today. And I hope that our students will get the same thing, just like we, the teachers, we get it. So thank you, both of you, Sir N. Luikham, which is the IFS and member secretary, Meghalaya State Biodiversity Board. Thank you very much, sir. You have highlighted the activities of the Meghalaya Biodiversity Board. You have also highlighted a little bit about what we are going to do and to pose our solution for these menace in the biodiversity. So let's get involved, like reduce, reuse, and recycle, and so on that you have already mentioned. And thank you very much for your in-depth information for this lecture. Thank you very much, Sir C.A. Rahman, IS retired Central Academy for State Forest Service, Burnihat, Assam. Thank you very much for your in-depth information related with the benefit sharing on biodiversity and legal matter related to biodiversity resources. So you have given in-depth information about how we share the benefit of the resources of biodiversity as well as the legal matter related with the biodiversity resources. Thank you very much. We get so much information from this. And also I thank to the principal of Synod College, Dr. R.M. Limba, who has joined with us. I also thanks to the IQAC coordinator of the Synod College, who have also concern to be the part of our lecture. I also thank to all the teachers of the science departments of Synod College, and especially the teachers of Zoology department of Synod College who have organized these lectures. I also thank to all the students who participated in this special lecture of the celebration of International Biodiversity Day 2021. Without you students, I don't think that we will be able to organize this lecture today. I thank to all whoever involved in these lectures, whom I have not mentioned. I thank you all, whoever be in this. So thank you again very much. So I pass again to Dr. Iangrai for the conclusion.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Marngar, for your vote of thanks. Now, personally, I would like to thank Sir Luikham. Thank you so much, sir. In spite of a short notice that we contacted you, and then you are always there ready to help us. And not only that, you've even invited Sir Rahman from your side. Thank you so much, Sir Rahman, again, for delivering us this beautiful lecture. And you know, sir, I'm telling you, we have really gained so much knowledge because of your in-depth knowledge about those different acts and the traditional knowledge that we should need to preserve. So thank you, everyone. My special thanks also goes to, again, like sir said, our principal, and Miss Gavin, our coordinator. And as my special thanks also goes to Sir Joshi from the BCA department for providing us these link and for doing the recording and for sharing in the YouTube. So thank you once again to all of you. The program is over.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We will see you next time, sir.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you very much.